Hi, it's Nadia here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make some colour pop bracelets, the quickest and easiest possible way to make them. And you can make them in any colour that you want. They're made on memory wire and they should just take a few minutes to make. A while back we had to make some bracelets for a catwalk, and the easiest thing to do was make them on memory wire because it has no fastener. So you can just slip them on and off very easily, and they're very effective because you can, obviously they would fit any wrist, but you can also wear them on the top part of your arm or on the bottom part, and it's a very good way to use colour. I'm going to show you two different ways that you can make it. One where you've got little charms that are spaced in between your beads, and the other where you've got your charms, and in this case I've also used a tassel at the end of your bracelet. But of course, if you want, you can then go ahead and make a bracelet where you've combined it both ways, so you have charms at the end and being spaced out through the middle. And I'm going to be using some beads that I've put together in blocks of colour and spacing them out with some plain crystal beads, faceted glass crystal beads in between, so they catch the light and just give it a more professional finish. Before we get started, all the beads that I have used to make up my bracelets are available to buy from our website. You can have a look on there for some inspiration and for some kits. Please remember to subscribe to our channel and leave any comments or feedback. We'd love to hear from you. To make this bracelet, I'm going to be using memory wire. This memory wire is bracelet memory wire, and it keeps its shape. But the only thing about memory wire is you can't use your standard cutters to cut it. So the only thing that you need to do is make sure that you have memory wire cutters. Apart from that, you need some beads, and I've got my colour pop beads here. I've arranged them by groups of colour, and I'm going to mix these with some clear crystal beads just to give it a bit more weight and sparkle and just fill in the spaces. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut into my memory wire, and I quite like to do it with 3 coils. So just need to find where my wire begins and work out 3 coils plus about ½ an inch at the end to allow for making a loop. So this would be 1 full coil, and I'm just going to carry on till I get my 3 coils, and then I'm allowing extra for the end. And with your memory wire cutters, just go in there and give it a snip. Don't try doing this with normal cutters because they may not work, and even if they do work, you will actually damage your cutters and you won't be able to use them again. So the next thing you have to do is make a loop using your round nose pliers, and you simply go back on yourself so the loop goes in the opposite direction of the wire. It's not difficult to make a loop with bracelet memory wire. It's a lot thinner than the memory wire that you use for bracelets, for rings. So it's quite straightforward. And then the next thing that you have to do is literally slip your beads onto the wire and pull them along to the end. If you want, you can make a pattern, or you can just put them on randomly, but it's as simple as that. And I'm going to be putting my beads on and then mixing them with my crystal beads. and as you do it, you push your beads right along to the end. So I'm going to do them now. I'm going to finish making the bracelet, and I'm just going to speed it up so that you can see what my final result looks like. So as you near the end of the bracelet, make sure you leave enough room to do a loop on the other side as well. And if you're using your crystal beads at the end, your glass beads, you'll want to make sure that the loop doesn't go over them because it might cause them to chip. So don't fill up with beads right till the end. Just put a couple and then leave enough of a gap so that you can turn it back on itself without damaging any of the beads. So take your round nose pliers at this end as well and just make a loop going backwards. Try and make it nice and tight because I'm going to put some beads, some little dangly beads at the end of this, so I don't want any gaps. So my main bracelet is now ready, and I'm going to show you how I finish this one by putting some little dangles at the end. I've got with me some little charms. And a few little coloured beads, some extra beads. I'm going to prepare the little dangles that go at the end of my bracelet. I've got a tassel that I've taken off another necklace which I don't use anymore. I'm going to put a jump ring on it so I can attach it to my bracelet. And I'm going to pin and loop some other little dangles to go with it. I'm just going to mix some of my crystal beads and the little seed beads that I've put aside that I think work well with the colours. So pin and loop your beads, get all your materials ready, and then you can assemble them and put them at the ends just to give it a nice finish. I'm not going to make a lot, I'm just going to make a few. I'll do one more, seeing as I've got the beads. So I will just if you haven't pinned and looped beads before, we do have a video showing you how to do it, and I will put the link. It will come up just now, so you can click on it and just have a little refresher if you need it. So my little dangles are ready. I'm going to open a jump ring. Remember to always open your jump rings forwards and backwards, not side to side, to keep their shape. And on one of them I'm going to put my tassel and a couple of the little dangles, and then I'm going to put it through one of the loops on my bracelet. And close it. Just try and make sure there's no gaps, because the memory wire is quite thin, so if there's a gap it might just fall out. And on the other side I'm going to open another jump ring. And I'm going to put my little organic metal leaf and a little one of my dangles to go with it. And I'm going to put this on the loop, on the other side. It's a bit fiddly because the memory wire is so springy, so you might have to just get it sitting in the right angle so that it doesn't jump back when you try and do it. And again, close your jump ring. You can go backwards and forwards several times until it's securely closed. And this one is ready. It's very easy to put on and off. I'm just gonna put my little tassel so it hangs at the front. And next I'm going to show you another way of finishing it by putting some charms in between the beads. And you start off in exactly the same way. So I'm just going to get my 3 memory wire coils and cut them with my memory wire cutter. And with my round nose pliers, I'm just going to make my first little loop, going backwards, so the opposite way from the coil, and make sure it's nice and tight with as small a gap as possible. And it's not that difficult to make it in this particular wire because it's not that hard. It's not that stiff. I know the ring one is quite difficult, but this one's fine. And then I'm just going to do exactly the same. I'm going to start threading my beads on it. And I'm going to mix them up again with my crystal beads. So I'm doing it in exactly the same way as the previous one. I'm going to leave enough space at the end of the bracelet again to make sure that I can make a loop going backwards. And also I want a bit of space between the beads on this particular one, because I'm going to put my little charms in between the beads on the bracelet, so it's good to have some space. So I can just put one more little one. I think I can just fit it on. Yes, and then with my round nose pliers I will just make a loop going backwards in the opposite way of the coil, and make sure it's tightly closed so there's no gap. And the bracelet is finished now and ready for me to place my little charms on it. I'm going to take my little metal charms and attach them, space them in between the beads on the bracelet on jump rings. I'm not going to do it in any particular order. I'm not counting it. I'm just going to put them on and space them out so that when I wear it, it's got some little added charms onto it. So if you put your little charm onto your jump ring, then place it around in between a couple of beads and carefully close it. And it's quite good to just have your, if you have your bracelet like this, you can sort of get an idea of where you want to put them roughly, spacing them out. Carefully close it, making sure there are no gaps. It's easier to put them in between the small beads, obviously, because the big beads can get in your way when you're trying to close them, but you can put them wherever you want. I'm just going to turn it around so I can do the other side. Let's have a look and see which coils. I think this coil is missing, doesn't have any on it yet, so I will add another one here. And I'm not going to put some on the end loops in this particular one, but you can obviously put them on the end loop as well if you want. So I think that's quite well spaced out. I've got a couple more, so I may as well use them because they're so pretty. Just to use up my materials. And now my second bracelet is ready, and it's got the little charms in between the beads, so it just gives it a little bit of a lift and some more detail when I wear it. And it's as simple as that.